The microphone's working. It's still.
It's probably if you didn't string it down here. Because it's on the meeting, or please. Before I ask for a motion regarding tonight's agenda, I'd like to delete number 17, which is the ambulance contract in the village of Honey Wells. After further investigation, we did it in December. It was just a check that we never sent them. So, like that, if it's over the board, we'll delete that one. And there are no other changes. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to public comment. If you please give us your name, address, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less until we've had a chance for everybody to speak. There are no public hearings tonight. However, there is scheduling of public hearings for the future. You can speak from your seat, or you can speak from the podium. Wherever you want. Can't hear? Yeah, it's hard to get rid of. Anybody?
Yeah, so for these guys, make comments on the. Proposals here.
Yeah, you can talk about anything you want.
Okay.
This isn't a public hearing about that.
Sure. Well, I guess I came here to.
Name and address.
David Gaskin, 187 Mendon, Ione Road.
It's your residence.
Oh, Lake Forty Circle.
Yeah, you have to give your residence. It's for zoning.
So, yeah, I own a business here in the town of Mendon, 20 winery. Initial comments on the short-term rental. I wasn't aware of this until recently. I just wanted to share my thoughts as a business owner here. I feel that some of these are a little bit restrictive to what we've been doing on our property. And to some of the agricultural businesses around here, outlawing rentals in ag districts. Will limit my ability to make a profit on my farm. Using tourism to kind of promote the winery, and other aspects of it, could be. And that going through here, one of the main things I saw that might be detrimental to some of the businesses in the hamlet was the parking restriction that came with this, the 1 per bedroom. I know there's already a parking difficulty in the hamlet, and in here might restrict everybody from trying to do something in the hamlet. So I would like everybody consider maybe something that has some flexibility. If there's not a lot of options, just limiting it to 1 per place, and then taking the homeowner or the business owner make sure that their guests don't abuse something like that, so that a 3-bedroom place can still have a family of 4 come and stay at it, even though they might have to bring 3 or 4 different cars, which is what that restriction might be in here.
So you offer overnight stays at your business?
Not right now, no, but I think looking at just businesses all around upstate New York, the Finger Lakes, things like that, they do offer short-term stays at their wineries, breweries, things like that. It's a way for them to generate money and revenue for their business. We don't do anything like that currently, but I would like that option and opportunity. I mean, we just started our business, so we can't do everything.
You'd have to amend your special use permit too.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I just want to have the opportunity. Sure. I just see that a lot in the Finger Lakes on the West Coast, and things like that, where they do put some sort of overnight stays into their business model, to help generate some revenue for it and, get people access to the farm. I would like to be able to continue to grow and do something like that.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll go on to communications, Andy.
Up our lawn damages done repaired, we picked up our snow fence delineated. We've got everything. Mainly for MS4 and all the snow and ice debris that was left over. Or ash trees, called on them, they were in. Or called all of our stone, most town stone over, called into the. I just noticed that the school wasn't copied in. I have copied.
Do that, do I need to? They weren't on the list, so that's why.
Last time we did it was after school, so we didn't have to wait for it during school.
Okay, I'll send the letter.
Yeah, I got it. She knows
Well,
that it's happening, John's. There. Kenworth. There's a bill in there for $5,136.48 for truck repair, which is over. All the roads with the county in preparation of our summer work. Got all that. This month also.
Thank you. Michelle.
I officially have scheduled the mobile mammogram unit to come September 30th to the community center. They'll be in the parking lot, so they'll be there. There's no cost at all to the town. They don't need any help. They bring everything, so it's just a completely free program. They were kind of excited to come out here. They don't come out this far, so they like this idea. So a new one-day marriage officiant license law that took effect on March 28th. So now anybody can come in and marry anybody in New York State. They just have to come in and fill out a form at the same clerk's office as the people buy their marriage certificate. It's a $25 fee that we'll be adding to the fee schedule tonight. Since they're about 94% collected at this point, April's the last month of regular accepted payments, and then after that, the county will deal with them. We're going to add a little bit more stuff, so that's all set. And I sent out the letters for Assembly Drive being closed, so I will add the school in and make sure they get.
Sean.
I have nothing.
Brent.
Planning board had March 15th, they approved a single family home over on West Bloomfield Road, right on the curve between Cheese Factory and Mountain Hill Road. They had a subdivision only on Cheese Factory that was approved on April 5th. On the 19th, they've got a special use amendment coming up on campus site plan, which was on Pond Road, which was formerly Newcomb's. So Newcomb's got an approved site plan. They decided not to build. These people are coming in and they're going to revise that site plan. I forwarded you guys the email from the planning board secretary for that new format that they put together that we approved, I think, about a month ago. I think it pretty much really streamlined it. It's a nice, clean approach. And then one of the unique and challenging applications over on Miles Square and Taylor Road that we've talked about in the past. There's multiple parties involved and there's gray areas of responsibilities. One of the parties feels as though that they've been forgotten about. The other major part of the lot gets developed. They wrote a letter with voicing their concerns. Met with the planning board chair, the engineer, and the attorney to review, confirm proper procedures being followed. And the attorney has drawn a roadmap, sending a letter to all parties to explain how to move forward. Planning board basically has some stormwater concerns. And doesn't really want to invest the resources necessary to answer those. What is a major part of being a land development? Spray park construction, septic installation began today. The pavilion is awaiting the electric and water hookup. We've had some discussions about it's time to stop holding people's feet to the fire and maybe slide into the fire a little bit to get them moving. Working on scheduling a walkthrough with the building department, so we developed a punch list for the walkthrough with the engineer and the contractors. We're hoping to do that. We're hoping to do that before April 15th. It looks like it's going to be after April 15th. This is fine. I also met with John Moffett and John Haygreen. It's developed tax lists for opening those up. I'm assuming John will touch on that or his communication. Back of the monuments, we were doing a walkthrough, discovered that they were they didn't quite have the same appeal as the granite did. It was very unfinished. Concrete color. It was not appealing. The Labella said if we supplied a stain, CP board would apply it to the back of it, make it a little more appealing. I thought it was a good idea. I met with Kevin Junji. He went and picked up the stain, dropped that off to them last Monday. Just drove by there, that stain was not applied. Sent an email to our engineers to find out if they have heard anything why that stain is not applied. Something that I think really needs to be done. Had the Mendon Community Business Social meeting on the 21st. Spring beautification in the hamlet has been moved up to May 13th because there is a conflict on May 20th with the golf tournament, US Open. And Mendon Foundation, it was looking for volunteers to help with that US Open. They're looking at staffing and tent, and they receive a benefit, not a donation to the Mendon Foundation. So they really, they depend on a lot of the business association to help with that. They're looking at reviewing their mission statement and the structural organization. We got another meeting on the 18th. And they want to focus on the events, and there's discussions of possibly New York tourism grant to market the hamlet. Something that the business association would be put forward with, but of course, I think we probably would offer a letter of support if they put forward that. Planning department, continuing the workshops with the building department and supervisor. We put together, I think we have 4 items on the agenda tonight. Decided to keep doing this through the year. Do some more maybe towards the fall. And started working on review of the design standards. I think John touched base with Sheldon to make sure we could revise those design standards. Right, Sheldon? Yes. Yeah. So we're really trying to, they don't say town of Mendon on them. Want to revise it so they say the town of Mendon. Andy identified there was a couple of specs called out before that were improper. And he kind of indicated, when he's telling people, follow the design standards, our design standards need to be accurate. So trying to get those updated so they say town of Mendon with a new date on it. So Andy Corey Gates can look at it and say, yep, that's current standard, just move on, spend less time on it. Working together with the building department before we do anything, obviously we'll bring it to the town board and present it to the other town board members to review it and hopefully consider it for approval. Had a meeting with highway superintendent, deputy superintendent, and supervisor. Reviewed the transition with the building employee where we had not had one in the past. We knew there was going to be some bumps in the road. So we went over some of what we've seen so far and solutions to that. Planning on periodic meetings moving forward to address those bumps in the road that come up as we go forward. I think we talked about quarterly. I think that was sufficient. Yeah. And I'm also working on
The
getting.
building, I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, we hired a part-time building
Right,
person to
right.
take care of the building, where that employee used to be a buildings and grounds, but was almost a, out of the highway department and had CDL. The new person is really focusing on the buildings parts of it, and he's part-time, he's not full-time, he's not a CDL driver, so. You know, where we didn't see some of the hiccups such as snow on the sidewalks. He's here Monday through Wednesday for 20 hours.
Right.
And it snows more than just those hours, so you know, that's an example of what we had to hammer out.
Okay. Thank you.
Was in the Hamlet, there's a Hamlet resident expressed concerns about the volume of the TV monitors in the gas pumps out of the gas station. This is with the CEO. So, you know, it's really kind of a noise complaint. We went through what would just have to be to make a noise complaint. And kind of agreed it would be simpler if I just went down and talked to the manager. Manager on duty said that's a corporate item, and she was gonna send out an email to corporate to see if they could lower that. That's something that corporate sets. So hopefully they can lower the volume on those gas pump TV monitors and.
So you got the complaint?
They were talking to me. They didn't come. I was
Okay.
talking to a resident.
Oh,
They,
okay.
they asked why they could hear those TV
Okay.
monitors over their radio on their porch. Trying to head it off so they're not
Okay.
getting a noise complaint. Started the town amendment fuel audit, our initial town amendment fuel audit. It's gonna be, I think, it's fair to say, need a little more time to get these numbers hammered out. There's a lot of numbers. Want to go through it with Andy and Cindy and make sure that we are looking at the right numbers. My understanding, there's a little bit of fluctuation in here also, so. Want to get, right, so it might be another month where we complete that audit. What I have.
Thank you. Karen?
I attended the environmental meeting for Tom. He was out of town, and they spoke about the Pond Road. Situation, and they were gonna go out and actually do a site visit on Monday. What's today?
Yeah,
Today. Monday, so they were supposed to go out today.
I did see a note from Peter, he wasn't feeling well, so
Oh.
they rescheduled. I assume they rescheduled.
Okay, they just wanted to do due diligence, so they were gonna do that. And that really was the majority of the meeting, was discussing that. That particular, property. Also attended the historic preservation meeting, and we had a guest that came to visit us. Who noticed that on Taylor Road, the house that was moved from Henrietta to Taylor Road. Apparently, the new owners have taken down an outer building without having any approval, and there's a huge dumpster there, so we called Katrina in to ask Katrina to get Corey involved. And I assume that Corey got involved and was gonna go in just to explain to the new owner the property that they have there and the requirements. But the one building was part of the house originally, and so it's obviously something that would not have been approved by the historic preservation group.
Which house is
Well, there was an outer house that they used, this new owner used as they put all of their lawn equipment and stuff in it. I think it was an outhouse at one point.
Okay.
But it was original, but it was part of the house, and so this guest that came explained to us that that was all included in the registration that they had done, so.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's
I would just suggest that he should make a formal complaint to the code enforcement officer and,
He did it, I believe, they connected.
Good.
Yeah, they connected.
and then the proper procedure would be for the code enforcement officer to then take it to HPC for their consideration, but you're right,
Yeah.
the long term of it is, he should have gone HPC for permission to remove that.
Right.
And if he didn't understand the ramifications of that house as far as its historic nature. It's on him as an owner.
Right.
But I'm sure the former owner pointed out, noticed that very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, because that was a big part of it. Obviously, the registration, so there was some commotion about that. And then continue to work on the map.
Cindy?
Yep, with regard to the library, the Friends Spring Flower Sale will be going on. Now through beginning of May, and pickup for those flowers is May 6th. They also reported that for April, there are several teen events planned, and I thought this was a great one. Motor safety course for teens. As well as several adult events, including a variety of Medicare seminars. So I have picked up on the Medicare. And meeting scheduled for April 12th to have a chat with some community members and several businesses in Honey Falls to coordinate an outdoor mural for Honey Falls.
We don't have one. All of those. Living. That's what it-
Where's this mural gonna be, did they say?
This is just the beginning stages of it.
Oh.
Tipper Dance was one that they reached out to. Your sister might know about that. And basically, that's it. They went over their budget, see where they are right now and what they might need coming up, and that's it. Next year, that's what I'm saying.
I was just curious if they were considering putting a mural at the library, that they need to come here first.
They didn't say it was at the library. They just said they're in their initial stages of discussing a mirror.
Great. Tom?
So that's taken care of for covering the Environmental Conservation Board meeting.
Planning, another one with the Association of Towns regarding the current state budget and the status of these auxiliary buildings. That, depending on who you talk to, it's still in the budget in some form or another, and you know, it's working its way through the state legislature. Hopefully. We don't get painted with the same brushes down the state. Extended the MCBA, the Men in Business Association meeting with Brent. I shared all the salary and benefit for the towns that participated in Monroe County with the board last month, or last meeting, excuse me. And we did hear from Monroe County Planning about the additions to the comprehensive plan, and they said it was a local matter. Sidewalk survey people are out and about. I haven't seen them, but I think Brent, you said you saw them.
Seen the surveying equipment.
Yeah, I imagine you probably see them. They're not too far from your place. I had a little bit of a snafu regarding staffing at the youth center. Tom's filling in again tomorrow. I've asked Alicia, who's kind of the lead person there, to see if this is going to be an issue going from here on out, because so far it's happened both times on Tuesdays. So we'll see how it goes. We obviously only have a few more weeks left, but if it's going to be a regular problem on Tuesday, we need to have a solution, in my opinion. Either come up with more staffing or not open on Tuesdays. The Splash Park update, as Brent mentioned, we are tentatively, and I'm emphasizing the word tentatively, planning on a ceremony to open the military, or to dedicate the military memorial on June. Okay. We have been around and around with every Legion, various things. It's a busy time of year. You got Memorial Day weekend, you got the Bennett Carnival, you've got all kinds of things going on, the PGA, all that thing. So that's our new target date. We will finalize it and advertise it, but, and we just make sure the family was a good date for the families. That's the most important part of it. We had to check with, but that right now at 11 a.m. on that day, and like Brent, John and I are gonna meet bi-weekly to hammer out all the details. For it. Let's see. Just a word regarding tax collection. I just want to emphasize to everybody, as Michelle said she had 94% received, is that the town of Mendon receives 100% of our portion of the tax is that are levied for the town tax. And then anything that's shortfall is shortfall on the county. We're one of the few counties that do this in Monroe or in New York State, I should say, and it's very beneficial to small towns like us because we don't have to chase people who don't pay their taxes. The county does, or they have somebody else chase them. General code, as we're starting to work through some of these local laws, if you have 4 of them on the agenda. General code will eventually mesh these into our code online. They will still be listed on the code, but they're in a separate place. They have to look at a little bit different place. And then what I've told them is probably in September, we will have them mesh them into the code and make them part of the code itself. But for now, they'll be, assuming the board changes some local laws over the next several months. That's kind of the plan. And Tom, I just remind ECB that if they go on a site, they can't all go on a site visit together.
Oh, they can't.
It's a violation of open meetings law.
Oh, I don't think they know that.
So if you could let them know.
Okay.
And
So,
if they do want to do that, then we need to advertise.
so something less than a quorum.
Yes, yes. So if they want to do that, they can, but then we should advertise it as a meeting.
Okay.
To supervisors monthly report.
Make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the supervisor's monthly report for March 2023.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll go to monthly report.
Make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the town clerk's monthly report for March 2023 from receipts for $102,875.49.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next, the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting as presented.
Want to do the all 3 meetings? We can do them separately if you'd like.
Yeah. Oh, it says it's the board meeting is March 13th. Oh, 27th, 29th, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. 2023, my mistake.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. To transfers.
They approve the following, or to the budget transfer outlined in the agenda.
Any discussion?
Can you explain what these are?
The budget transfers?
Yeah.
Sure. The first one is to purchase the lawnmower for buildings and grounds,
Mhm.
which is a new lawnmower. And the second one is for contractual work at the highway garage. Which now that we have somebody who's dedicated to grounds, we've had some further expenses of things that quite frankly, we didn't budget for.
Okay. Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is vouchers.
Make a motion to approve all claims on vouchers number 23-214 and 23-289. And general abstract 23-03 and an amount of $553,372.13.
I'll second that.
To make note, obviously, it's a little bit high this month. We're looking at, we have 135,000 going to Whitney East. This contract there. We've got 123,000 going to the Village of Honey Falls. Have some money going to Mary Taylor, the sculptor, for the Flying Geese. And then we also have almost $20,000 for Lobella Associates. They are doing the inspection over at Mending Green for the construction. So I mean, we're looking at 50, it's well north of $250,000. I think that explains why we had such a site.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Any other discussion?
Nobody seconded.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Also like to make note that library vouchers number 23-035 to 23-056 on library abstract 23-03 in the amount of $6,199.83 was presented to the town board for payment.
Thank you. Next, we have a report from the Fire Service Committee. This is for discussion. Muffy Meisensaw is here to, Muffy, I don't know if you want to give a brief synopsis or something to the joint meeting we had, or if you just want to open it up for Q&A and discussion among the board. Thank you for coming.
We were all at the meeting on the 29th. Well, versed in it. Well, John, I would be here tonight in case during the discussion you had any questions about the report. Didn't want anybody who was on the committee to be put on the spot, so. Any questions that you would like to address further about the report, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I'm just gonna.
Thank you. I just want to thank Muffy as well as everybody who did participate in that. I personally learned a lot from and the other participants who, most of which were involved in the fire service in some way or another. And I appreciate Muffy putting together a presentation for the joint meeting that we had. And I think it was well received by the community. And having been at all the meetings, I really don't have anything specific, but Karen, you were, I think I missed.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you've got any feedback from anybody else, from the other groups. Yeah, that were there, the fire community.
I did attend the annual village, which was last Monday, weeks ago, and offered the same opportunity to the mayor to be at the village meeting because also on their agenda for discussion next week.
Yeah.
Today, the chair of the commission, their meeting, which is this week. Yeah, just to be that if there are questions, and a similar question of the consistency in the answer, and again, not to put any of this, the members on the committee representing those folks. Because they get their own opinions.
Sure.
So we just wanted to kind of keep I really heard from no one individual.
Thanks.
Anybody? Have any, I mean, this can be discussion amongst ourselves,
I'll try
questions.
then.
Yeah.
Aaron, you want to jump first? I mean, you were heavily involved.
Well, I think Muffy did a great job presenting and obviously she represented us very well in our thoughts very well.
The
So,
amount of research.
yeah, it's amazing.
The amount of work we did.
A lot of people.
Fine.
Yeah,
And
right.
the research. Yeah.
It was very well presented in an understandable manner. Something that we all needed to hear, things that we had concerns about.
One of the things that I think is important from a procedural standpoint is the board put together charges for the committee. And just follows one of those charges. So the accountability requirement, I think, is contained in the report and in a manner hopefully that will
The biggest concern that the group felt is this has been a long process. Many years, they've had these issues and it's not been addressed. And they're very obviously hungry for a decision as to how we address some of these things.
I can understand their concerns, but after reviewing the report, it looks like the last time a major decision was made on this was 100 years ago. So to make this decision, we're not talking about a decision for 3 to 5 years, we're talking about a decision that our grandchildren's grandchildren could be affected by this decision. So I understand their concern. These guys they're running into danger and they need help. I can understand that, but we also need to make sure that we stay on, we need to follow the correct path that I think was a good path that was set 100 years ago. I'm not saying we don't need to alter that path to adjust in time. I'm just saying we should follow that tradition, make a sound decision for generations to come. So, having said that, I think, looking at it from a dollars and cents standpoint, it makes sense to me. Looking at it from a safety standpoint, it makes sense to me. Looking at it from, let's look at what it takes, Muffy's attending 3 meetings. We have 2 departments that are essentially acting together. Okay. Look, Muffy's attending 3 meetings to go over 1 report. I think it makes sense to look at further doing a joint fire district. So when these hurdles do come up, it's one board making the decisions. And if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, Muffy. But if we did look at a joint fire district, if we did move forward with that path, it would be a board of commissioners, very similar to what we have implemented right now.
It would be a board of commissioners and a joint district that would be previous information that was presented. We were using big just because it's required districts.
And those are 5 elected officials. So they answer financially and to everybody else. I think it makes sense to move forward and have more discussions between the village of Honey Falls Fire Department and the town of Mendon, which my understanding is correct. We're talking about fire district number 1. That's who we are representing.
Yes,
Correct.
board for the fire
Yes.
district.
Yes. I think it makes sense.
Us too, and interestingly enough, I had just read in the news, national news of 3 other departments, areas, not just in New York State, that are having the same conversations about joining with town next door. So a couple were with the town next door, so not even within the same town.
Yeah,
Just
these are the
because-
guys in our community that when there's a problem, they come running to help.
Yes, they
And
do.
We don't even know, sometimes we don't know them, sometimes we do. They still come running to help. And they're saying they need help to do
They
that.
do.
So I think we should continue discussions
I
with
think
the
we should.
village of Pretty Mercy. Then have a committee, I assume.
I'll wait till everybody answers. I'll jump in here, but if anybody, I don't know.
I had a question, and actually Rick kind of touched on it. Is there any, because a couple of the statistics I remember for the meetings, I think there's 35 members of the pendant. Is there anything in this, and it may not be there yet because we haven't restructured it in fire district, but is there anything? Is there a consideration of possibly adding to those numbers? Or are there things we could do? All part of the equation, because again, you got 30 here and 35 here, and you combine the district, you got 65. That problem hasn't been solved.
Volunteers are always being recruited.
Yeah.
and hopefully, of attracting volunteers with recruitment and retention programs is off the books. I mean, it's something that we can continue to get volunteer assistance.
Is that a big, I mean, I think it's a bigger sell. If it's a bigger department and maybe money I. District and whatever, that more people may be at.
One of the pieces that's very important about all of this is public education.
Mhm.
Community-wide studies that have been done. Service with the ambulance service. Comment is, oh, everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, they do. But human resources are limited, and we know that from the number of volunteers that we get. And what's being done,
Yeah.
there's a concern about if we can continue to offer the best of our service capability, and without more people to cover and to be part of these fire suppression organizations or fire service. You can't, if you look at the numbers of volunteers, 35 in Mendon, 30 in Huntington Falls, and you look at the retention of just days over 2 years for both departments. So when you have attrition from recruitment, retiring out of volunteer service, it's hard to maintain any numbers. I've been here my lifetime, and in my younger days, in my young waiting list for the fire department, that's gone by the boards. So when you think about fulfilling the number of volunteers, that it's a maximum capacity departments, we're not anywhere near close. So the idea is to scale the operation that would make it more attractive. And hopefully it will help through the operation questions that come from the community to educate the public that yes, the volunteers are doing the best they can do, but very shortly, it's not going to be enough. We already know there are gaps in the not enough. If you look at the studies that are done, fire service from the departments, from the village at times, they're specifically oriented fire service, a firehouse, some equipment, but those tend to be more encompassing of the membership of the departments. Or the village board having representation. They're not the public at large commenting about the quality of the service. How well the service is received. So the wide discussion is more subjective to doing a great job. When it comes to the fire service aspects, they tend to dive into the specific aspect. So the idea of this report was to look at the overall. How long we can sustain it. One of the things that you asked for affected in the community. So the idea of the economy of scale is to spread the wealth, so to speak, take the people who are now contributing. By district or even a district of village and fire protection district joint venture gives the opportunity for more flexibility for future. State, it's more of a regional approach. Basin into health, so it's not just the neighboring. It's a couple districts away who are coming now in. The idea of a district also the ability to continue to go out from there. But it's the town of Mendon is options and considering those options and arriving at a model that would help us now. Well, is fire service continues to evolve and it's laws change that offer different fire service.
No,
That's more than you asked for.
there's, no, I understand shortages. I'm a bus driver. But part of me, you know, when I hear it, I'm saying, okay, Pittsburgh needs drivers. We need drivers. Just combining all our transportation departments, get us more drivers. And but you explain it to me in a way that I understand more than that. It's kind of my initial thoughts on it, but you makes more sense. So, the other question I had is, one of the things when you were talking about, and again, it was 65 cents per thousand, for, it was $1.04, I think, for Mendon. The two departments combining, one department is bringing debt to it. And you did say in the structuring of the deal, you could structure it in a way that, I don't know if it's an old district is taking care of the debt. I mean, I'm looking at equity of what parties are bringing to the table.
Well, entity is its own assessment. Each entity is its own rate per thousand of taxable assessment. And because the fire protection district utilizes the service of the village fire department, village budget goes into the assessed value of both entities. It's more tax dollar collected from the fire protection district than. However, we're talking about the same rate of the budget. So the rate per thousand in the village and the fire protection district for you just paid 86867. Now the fire protection district pays a little bit more than on different. That's value because of updates that have happened. Fire contract comes out and you put it on your January budget. The village is still dealing with more of their budget. Start out at the same rate, but it fluctuates a little bit because it's a full assessment. Since July 1st, rolls. So it's 0.6867 for discussion purposes. in the fire district, it's $1.15. Total assessed value of the town on for the budget that the commissioner put together, you come out with a value that everybody pays the same rate. However, the village still has a debt for fire protection. It's tied up in it. They could continue to pay the debt off. That would be additional above general rate per thousand that everybody's gonna pay. So let's say everybody's paying $1.
Yeah, that's just, that, I think it was. In the ballpark.
Property tax rate was 1.1 cent.
Oh.
So let's call it $1.
Yeah.
And maybe the people in the village action district are gonna pay $1.10 because of the debt. I don't know what that would be, but there's still some years to go. Until that's satisfied and everybody's back to level
Yeah.
ground. Whoever carries the debt now, will continue to pay that. District cover debt at the village incurred.
Makes perfect sense.
And there are, if you look at the report that we used. Reference for some of the district consolidations in New York State. There are some fire districts, especially up here in County Way, where been five fire departments that are now. As the district can apportion geography any way they want. Sure. And different than the impacts of residential. So it's not unheard of.
I mean, I like the idea of one. That's right, one, yeah, I like that idea.
I'll just jump, oh, I'm sorry. Somebody else want to say something? I just jump in with a couple of comments. I think it's telling that the two fire departments have found a way to work together and to provide more manpower. And I think it's up to the three entities, governing entities to basically see if this is something that's sustainable going forward and kind of take their lead, so to speak, on this thing. And I do think that the tax disproportional amount of tax per thousand, rate per thousand is something to take into consideration. One of the complaints that I've heard is that, well, when fire districts can, because they're a taxing authority, they can set their own rate and, they can get carried away with spending money and things like that. Yes, the rate in the Mendon Fire District is higher than the rate in the fire protection district of the village, but they have no debt.
Yeah.
And so I don't see that as a reason not to have a fire district. I would also suggest to the board authorized me to send a letter to the Village of Lehigh Falls and the Mendon Fire Commissioners saying that we would want to continue to pursue this avenue. We'd be happy to take part in any type of committee that is formed or any discussions that take place to advance this recommendation of the committee.
I would agree.
I
with
support that.
I support that.
Resolution for that show. So maybe you'd like to make a motion,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
and I said,
Yes.
Michelle, you okay with what I said?
Oh, sure. You can tell me later.
Other discussion? Lastly, as I mentioned, as a taxpayer, I wanted to thank Muffy and the people who were involved in this committee. Because if we'd have gone to an outside source, it would have cost a lot of money and it wouldn't have been done half as good as it was prepared in detail. So thank you very much.
I hope you're very comfortable with the data that's.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know this is. It's with the report that I did for you in 2016. Many of the graphics and the charts, and the tables that are in. So that you can go back and add. What they are from the policies. Some of the hard work that's many people to help move forward.
Gives it so much more, in my mind, so much more confidence, a report like that, when it's stakeholders. It's not someone you hired that comes in from
Right.
Schenectady and does a survey, so.
Citations. You know, the sort. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's here, it's, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Hi,
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to number 12, which is a contract for the shredding materials for residents.
make a motion to approve the contract with Shredded to shred paper for residents at the recycle event scheduled on October 14th, 2023, not to exceed $810.90 from account A1010.410.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, RG&E is a contract for street lighting.
contract with Rochester Gas and Electric Corporation for streetlight replacement with LED bulbs. Account E5182.4 not to exceed $1,307.20.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So are these all streetlights within the town of Mendon?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. How many? Do they, don't know approximately how many?
Yeah, I do.
No, yeah, I mean, again, I don't mean,
I'm gonna say like 30 or 40.
okay, right.
I forgot the exact number, but they sent a list and what the type of bulb that's in there now, what their recommendation is for a similar lighting scheme and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, just having. West Bloomfield, same thing, and they switched out these incandescent lights that. There's a nice glow by my bus when I park by in the morning, and now it's like. LED, it's like the white sun of God.
There were several different different bulbs. So they're not all the same. I guess what I'm trying to say, they're not all,
So the,
what this is layman's terms, bright white.
Yeah.
And so I asked them for recommendation because I'm like, look, you're in the business, I'm not. And so they sent a recommendation, for every bulb that's this wattage, you should put an LED in. It's gonna be similar.
okay,
We got a second, but no vote, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, number 14, special meeting of the town board, April 24th, 2023. So I have it down for the Bolden, the Mendon Community Center. This is specifically a special meeting regarding reading in chapter 236 regarding short-term rentals. Modifying 26052 in the zoning code regarding bed and breakfast establishments. So there wouldn't really be anything else to speak of on the agenda for that night. Any other discussion?
I'm just asking that we publicize this because I know that there's a lot of different, I'm getting a lot of different perspectives.
Good.
So I would ask that we do that on the internet as well as,
Sure.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that'll be on our website, it'll be on our Facebook page,
Okay,
it'll be
Thank you.
On the boards.
the boards.
Great.
And there's copies of both at the table in the back. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next is fee schedule from the building department. Modify that to include the first. Show about this right. License $25 added to the fee schedule. So in talking to Corey, he said that, he's doing more and more situations with EV charging stations at homes. This is a fee for that, and then it's $25 for burn permit, $25 for the 1-day marriage certificate. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, number 16, Blaze Soccer, Driesback Fields.
Make a motion to allow Blaze Soccer to use Driesbach Field for ages 10 through 12, May 16th and July 28th, 2023. Payment is received of $400 in proper insurance.
Any discussion? Favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is the deleted number 17. Number 18 is the it's a plan amendment. So we had a public hearing on this previously. And this is for adoption into the comprehensive plan.
Make a motion to amend the comprehensive plan, amended and personally adopted on February 2021, regarding short-term property rental. Matter.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to number 19, which is replacement sign at the highway.
Places to grab a snowplow with they have attached 101 Summer Road at the cost of $485.47. Account number A5132.org.
Second that.
Any discussion?
Didn't we already do this one?
That's what.
No.
We didn't?
If I'm not mistaken, we made a motion to get rid of the fine,
Correct.
but we did not make a motion to.
Anytime.
Replace
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry.
But it. Since it came from the A fund, it's a function of the building, that's the town board has to approve.
So anytime
So
you're,
we're kind of doing retroactive.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I
anytime,
thought
yeah,
I remembered this.
anytime you're gonna modify. Like they should work.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's out there.
Very nice. Very nice.
Just another one of those. And you open the book, up and it's like, oops.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yep. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have number 20, which is local law number 1. This is to schedule a public hearing at the special meeting on Monday, April 24th at the Mendon Community Center. In the town code. This is to propose a new chapter 236 regarding short-term rentals. Law is is a separate attachment in the information that you have, as well as there's some on the back table for anybody coming in.
So moved.
Any discussion?
I'm just a little confused by this.
Okay.
Didn't we just talk about this?
We scheduled a special meeting
Right,
a few minutes ago.
Now we're talking about a law.
Now we're talking about scheduling a public hearing at the special meeting. On a. I know, it sounds repetitive.
confused.
It sounds repetitive. Sounds repetitive.
Yeah.
We had to schedule the meeting before the schedule the hearing.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right. All right. Done.
Well, there is no chapter. If you go to the code currently, there is no chapter 236. This is a new chapter regarding short-term rentals.
And this will be voted on at a subsequent meeting,
Not after
not
the-
post the hearing.
We could, if we've heard back from the county. Regarding. I think it probably would be wiser not to. That makes sense.
Yeah, we don't want. Decision was made and we just listened to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I would also like time to think about it.
Sure. So. Because I mean, it's important that, number one, that you read the law.
Right.
That you understand it. And then number two, that you hear what the residents have to say about it. Yes or no.
Are there comments of why?
Yes, absolutely. We have a second, right? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Okay, next is number 21, local law number 2 of 2023. This is to schedule a public hearing on that same special meeting on April 24th. This is to amend chapter 26052.
So moved.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Number 22, local law number 3, deleting a sentence from town code 26061A. Well, this is something that the attorney for the planning board suggested that we delete from our code. Brent, Corey, and myself agree.
It's very time frame. Review of preliminary site plans, which is not mandated by New York State.
So basically,
We made it.
if the planning board doesn't come up with a decision in 62 days, it's like, you can do what you want. It's crazy.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you.
That's on May 8th, right?
That is on May. This local law number 4, which is chapter 26024B, insertion of into schedule A, letter I, which is a special use permit is not transferable to a new owner or a new person having interest in the land. A new owner or a person having interest in the land shall be required to reapply to the planning board for a special use permit. Public hearing will be held on May 8th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion?
This one is, this is the planning board chair had asked about, one of the processes that we had always done. Since I'm on the planning board was special use permit. Was with the owner, the person of interest, and that's where it was, it did not carry with the land. They asked, and we had always done it that way, that was my understanding, because the special use permit always carried with, it went with the owner, and a use variance carried with the land. The chair of the planning board said, okay, where is this in the code? And I said, oh, well, it's right, and I couldn't find it, so I checked with the old code enforcement officer, he goes, oh, well, it's right. Well, I thought it was right here. Once again, just dotting our i's, crossing our t's to do what we say and say what we do.
And I think in regard to what Brent's saying is that I asked around and there's a whole lot of people who think that a special use permit stays with the property, and there's a whole bunch of other people who think it stays with the owner. So this defines it in our code.
When I think with the special use permit, we put a lot of conditions on it at the planning board level. And a lot of times they will review those conditions to the applicant, and say, you know, if you have any problems, and there's a discussion back and forth, if you don't have them in front, you know, the new owner might not. It avoids.
Yes.
Agreed.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, speed reduction request.
Authorize supervisor write a letter, to the appropriate agencies in support of the speed limit reduction on Currier.
President came in, talked to me about it. He's circulating a petition amongst his neighbors. I had a chance to talk to our town attorney and go over procedure and he is asking for the town board support. It is a county road, so we do not have the authority to change the speed limit on that. So that's why
What is the speed limit?
55.
it's not posted.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's
That
55.
Is- I mean, it's, what is the concern? I mean, I drive it 3 times a day. It's a straight, is it the straight section?
Yeah.
Because there's a-
Resident, he said it's. Kind of the width of the road, it's just the rural lanes. It's not a thorough there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that like it, but.
Yeah, but I don't ever see it, it's beating. I drive it all the time too.
Yeah, no, I mean, no. But I mean, I think they're concerned with people 55.
And the county, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but the county's plans are to have the department, resurface that and widen as well,
Okay.
which I think this resident feels that it couldn't be two faster speeds.
Do they want to reduce it for you? You know?
Well, I think the first thing they'll probably do is do a traffic count and a speed check and that type of thing, but I think we just ask for a reduction though.
Yeah, because that straight stretch is not marked, but it is marked as you go down that curve. It's got the yellow sign, says 35.
Suggest.
Yeah, well, you can, suggest it. Yeah, suggest it's, yeah.
We can't get a ticket on those signs. So,
So is that typically what happens? People will contact you and then you have to write a letter?
well, yeah, but I want to make sure the board was in agreement to write a letter that way.
Because that would open up a can of worms, I think. I'm not sure I would
What,
be in favor of you writing a letter, because you could be writing letters for everything.
well, that's why it should be a board decision.
Yeah.
To write a letter.
Okay.
Yeah. And quite frankly, the only thing this board has the authority on is the town road.
Right.
Speed limit wise, but county and state roads. it's just Perfectly asking, I probably wouldn't waste the paper on asking for a
We've
reduction.
gone down.
We've got a step. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside your tree.
Uh-huh. It's not dangerous there.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next is the Monroe County Hazard Mitigation Plan update for 2023. Discussion. Cory and I were part of the implementation of this throughout the county and I'm receiving out of emails. This gets updated, as you can see, normally every 5 years unless there's some type of change and it's just, we're just confirming that we're in, so to speak. Fluffy was here, she could tell you more about it than I can. All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next is number 26, finance school attendance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? This meeting is May 8th, so we will be commuting from that year for our meeting. All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next, highway school attendance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed?
Sorry, who seconded that? I didn't catch it.
Second.
I second.
Got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you.
No.
New York State Retirement Seminar attendance.
So moved.
Any discussion? Change the reporting website for New York State Retirement for our employees. It's quite an ordeal. So it's, which I know Kelly's been in a couple of webinars with this, and that's of course important that we accurately report everything. Favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is budget transfer from the reserve fund.
Make a motion to transfer $360,000 from the DA Equipment Fund reserve account NY 0112500011 to DA 5130.2 equipment.
This is subject to permissive referendum, which means basically if residents think this is a bad idea, they can, I think they have 45 days as a children. For 30 days, I forgot. To have prepare a petition and present it to the town. Yes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is number 30, authorization to purchase a felling tag trailer.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Authorization to purchase Toro mower. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 32, authorization to purchase international cabin chassis plow equipment.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, highway department items for auction.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 34, Mending Green letter of credit release.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Just the formality, correct?
Well, they reach certain milestones
Right.
in the development of the development, so to speak.
Right.
And their engineer says we have X, Y, and Z done. Our engineer confirms that, comes back to us, we approve it,
Okay.
release that amount of money to them.
Okay, thank you.
Reimbursements will go.
At 20,000, yes.
Actually, the credit rate. Credit rate.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 35. National Library Week 2023.
make a motion to proclaim National Library Week April 23rd through 29th, 2023. As noted in the proclamation that follows. In the agenda. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Lila requested that I bring it to John for his approval, and so I had it sent to John and he approved it.
Do they plan on doing events around this?
There are events scheduled, if you go to their website, there are some events scheduled for that week, yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is public comment. Ian.
So you approve the budget transfer for, okay. And,
Anyone else?
Yeah, that's a comment, I don't even have my name, think, yeah, no. No, all right, for the amendment to the. Permit, and investing a lot of money into the property, to not be able to transfer that to a new owner, I do find a little bit restrictive and like hinder me, in my business. And where, Brett's coming from, but from my perspective, that also be.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Was that? That's the longest agenda, I think.